This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, sir. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, actually, I was practicing all the topics that you taught us in the previous lesson. There, I could not do that. How to alter a database using that query. I'm getting an
Sorry,
error, sir, every time that
I didn't get your question. Can you come again?
how to alter a database. Like, yeah, how to alter a database.
How to add a database?
Yeah.
I mean, you're trying to say how to create a database or?
No, sir, alter a database.
Oh, Azure database. All right. Azure database is nothing but creating a database in Azure platform. So Azure is basically a cloud platform, and you are installing the software in your own laptop. Instead of installing the software in your own laptop, you are going to create a VM or a server in the cloud platform, and you are going to install the software in the cloud VM. So the solution or the process or the concept remains exactly the same, but the underlying infrastructure is going to be over cloud instead of on premises. So instead of having the infrastructure on premises, it's basically having the infrastructure over cloud. So do you know what is Azure?
No, sir, I don't. Like, I'm asking you, like, creating a database using script, sir. There, I'm getting every time an error, sir.
What error you are facing?
So it is showing like an error by.
Okay, let me make you presenter. You can share your screen and try to create a database using script. Let's see.
Yeah. So just few minutes, sir. My network is slow.
Anyone else is having any questions?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, hi.
Sir, I'm also facing a problem. Sir, in script, I don't create my full backup.
Okay. So you want to take full backup using script, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So did you try to create a full backup using script? Did you try to create a full backup using script? Hello? What I'm asking is, did you try to create a full backup using script?
Hanji, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, Chaya, are you ready to share your screen? If no, then I can ask Yogita to share her screen and show us how to take the full backup or differential backup using script. Who wants to go first?
Sir, can I?
Yes, you are already presenter, so please share your screen.
Yes, sir.
Yogita, please share your screen.
Sure, sir. Sir, presenter.
You are already presenter. You have the presenter. Let me make you presenter again. Yeah, please share your screen. Now go ahead and create a database and show us there that you are getting. So you are trying to take backup, right? Yogita, do one thing. Do one thing. Go to the backup folder and copy the location from the address bar instead of typing down the location. Okay. So what is the backup folder? Open File Explorer. Open the File Explorer. What is File Explorer? This is not File Explorer, Yogita. File Explorer is basically the drive you see. My computer, you know what is my computer?
Your computer's file manager.
Now here, go to Program Files. Go to the backup folder. This is the right folder only. Hold on, Yogita. Hold on. Go to Microsoft SQL Server. Go inside the folder. So which instance you are working on here? Not this one. Now copy this path. Copy this path. Yogita, you first need to copy this path. Before you go in SSMS, you first need to copy the path. Do you know how to copy the path? Do you see the address bar? The file path which is showing at the top? Please go and unmute. Please unmute yourself.
Sir, for copy control plus C command we use.
First, listen to me
Yes.
carefully. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm saying to copy the address, not copy the file. Copy the location. How to get the location?
Sir, after clicking this.
No, hold on. Listen
Okay.
to my instructions. Okay. So at the top there is a bar. You see there is a bar. The bar is naming MS SQL Server, the folder name MS SQL Backup, right?
Sir.
After backup, there is a blank space.
Yes, sir.
After backup, there is some space, right?
Yes, sir.
Not in the drop down. There is a blank space between drop down and
Yes,
backup.
sir. Yes, sir.
Click,
Ye C program files.
hold on. Click on the blank space in between the drop down and yes. Now Control A,
Yes, sir.
Control C.
Control A, Control C.
Now go to Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, paste the location.
Okay, sir.
Now give some enter.
Execute, sir.
No,
No.
give some enter.
Enter. I did.
Now write the command to take the backup.
Okay, sir.
What is the command to take a backup?
Sir, full backup. For full backup.
Backup is
Backup
what is the command
database,
to take a backup?
backup database, and the database name.
Give
Sir,
enter. Give enter.
done, sir.
Then write 2 space disk equals to space. Then give single quote.
Again repeat, sir.
Give single quotes. Now perform a cut operation of the location and paste it under the quotes. Now give a backslash and give the backup file name. There will not be any space after the backspace. What is the extension of a backup file? You
Dot
have to
.bak.
give the backup file extension. So Yogita, you have given a new directory name which is called full_backup. So do you have any directory called full_backup in the location?
No, sir.
Please remove the additional directory you have given. Now select the command and execute. First select master database from the drop down and then select the command and execute.
So there will be one go command, I think, in the last.
Go command is not mandatory.
Okay, sir.
Yogita, hold on. Listen to my instruction properly. First change the database connection to master. Now select the command. Hold on. This is not the full command.
No.
Is this the command, Yogita?
So command is yogita.bak.
Can anyone tell us what is the command here?
Start from backup database to yogita.bak. Start from backup database and go to last. Yes.
Then execute.
Then execute.
Sir,
Execute.
incorrect.
Click on execute. Now go to the backup file has been created, backup has been taken. Now go to the backup location and check the backup file is present there or not.
Done, sir.
All right. So let me ask you one question, Yogita.
Yes, sir.
Did you perform this backup um, backup operation first time in this course?
No, sir. ये can you check? ये देखो blank turn backup, test backup.
then why you are I mean
Sir,
confused,
in
or why
practical,
you are
I
missing in
mash
the
up all things.
basic area?
Sir, actually, I mash up all things in practical.
Anyway, I would request you, Yogita,
Yes, sir.
to brush up all the things whatever you have learned for the last 5 class. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so we are still having 10 more class here.
Yes, sir.
So I would suggest you to go through all the classes, all the class recordings, do all the practicals whatever we have done. Okay,
Okay, sir.
if you find any problem, raise it to me and fix all the confusions,
Done, sir.
because frankly what it appears now is like you are doing this backup database statement for the first time,
Okay,
which is
sir.
not expected. Okay,
Okay. Sorry, sir. I'm trying my best.
yeah, please do practice all the commands, and if you face any problem, let us know. Okay,
Okay, sir. Done, sir.
all right, who's next?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, my question is that how to attempt practical task. We got task create a blank set from a script. After creating, sir, the data, how to upload on Google Classroom.
So
Uh,
the
yeah,
idea
so
is the idea of a practical test is to give you some context or give you some problem statements on which you guys can work on. Okay, if you guys are able to perform the statements, whatever, perform on the requirements which we have given to you, that means that's enough. If you guys are facing any problem, any error or something, then you guys can raise it to me that I am facing this challenge or this error while I was performing particular this requirement. Okay, that's the basic idea behind any practical test.
yeah,
Sir, so we don't have to post anything on Google Classroom.
So that about the evidence and all, that you can check with
Yes, yes.
skill enable team. But here my take is the practical test which I am looking out of you guys is, I'll be giving you some problem statements. You guys need to perform the respective solutions. If you guys are able to perform the solutions without any error, that is sufficient enough. Now you can take the evidence and upload it in Google. That's for your reference. But here the target is not to collect the evidence. The collect is the motto is that you guys are able to perform the requirement or not, or if you guys are facing any error while performing the requirement, then we are going to catch up on those errors. All right, and for
All right, sir.
uploading the documents and everything, you can check with skill and ability. All right,
yeah.
Okay,
So
sir. Right.
basically, we had to. Sorry, actually, we had to upload SQL files. So I just had this doubt basically how to convert these files into SQL files, because when I asked Sanchita how do we upload the details, so she said that we need to upload SQL files basically. So after creating a data, how can we download the SQL files for them? Or after converting these backups, can we convert bak.bak to SQL file?
no.
What I did, I actually the first thing I did that I created a database, and after that I detached the database and copy, and similarly I did the backup and restoration and copied all the files and uploaded to the Google Classroom.
So what you can do is, like, whenever you are taking a backup, so basically you are doing the backup either in UI or in script, right? So if you're doing a backup using UI, you can take a screenshot and save it for reference and upload it. If you are doing it using script, then you can copy the script, save it to a text file and upload it in the drive. just for reference. Okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
there is no yeah, so
Yeah.
there is no
Tell me.
actually such thing as SQL file that we need to upload, right?
You can save it as a SQL file. You can save it as a .txt file. How to save it as a SQL file? There is a save button. You see beside new query, left hand side, you can see there is a save button. If you click on that
Okay,
button, this entire query window would be saved as a .sql file. So either you can copy these statements and save it in a text file, or you can save this file itself as a .sql file in any of the location.
okay, got it.
All right. So there was another doubt, I believe, from someone else. Who was that?
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sir, actually, I was saying that basically, whatever we have learned over the weeks, if you can make a one video in which only the practicals will be there, because the problem is in each video, whatever I'm talking about the recorded video, it is completely a 2 hour video. Each
Mhm.
video consuming 2 hours. So in these videos, basically many questions are being asked and answers has been given. So bit lengthy. So if you can make a video one to till date till session 5, in
Mhm.
which only the practicals will be there. Because due to some workload, I have also not attended session 4 and session 5. So
Mhm.
it will be more useful for me.
Okay, so let me ask you one thing. What is the target? The target is about learning about the practicals or learning about the concepts and the other peripherals as well. The idea should be about learning the concepts and as well as
Basic.
the practicals, right?
Right,
So if I make a video
right.
regarding only practicals, or if I just simply go ahead with a dedicated practical class, then the challenge I see is like we are going to see a lot of things and without knowing the background, right? And if we go on class basis,
Okay.
learning the concepts, learning the theory, and then doing the practicals respectively, then we are learning a small topic after learning the
Yeah.
concept of the topic, right? So I mean, uh, to
Yes.
learn a new technology, we have to give some time. So there is no shortcut. I'm beg to differ here. So there was someone else, I guess.
No,
There was
it's
some other lady who was asking for one request. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, sir. Actually, like,
Saroj,
yeah. I was
problem in
saying.
query, sir.
Saroj, you are telling something. Go ahead. Saroj.
Absolutely, you what you said is right. Even I have also noted it. Although which classes I have attended, I have noted it.
Mhm.
All the basic things in my notebook also. But the thing is,
Mhm.
in practical, not each one of here are getting that opportunity to showcase as because the classes will be more lengthy.
Mhm.
So that's why I was asking for the a single video of practical.
So what I am planning to do is basically after we are done with after we're done with covering most of the topics, then we are going to have dedicated classes for practicals only, right? So we'll be doing practicals because then it would be more useful, because whatever practicals we are doing, we basically covered everything related to that, and then we are doing the respective practicals at the same time. But that would be relatable when we are at the end part of the course. If we start doing the practicals, then I'll be referring something which we are yet to learn. So we need to push this idea at the end of the course, which is already planned. Okay. So whatever you are asking, like doing a
Okay.
practical focused course or practical focused class, that is there. That is there within the course only. Okay. But to get to that
Okay.
point, I
Okay.
would request you to, go through the classes and learn about the bits and pieces, so that when we do the practicals as a whole, that would be more meaningful.
Yeah, right.
All right. Bhargavi. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, even I was facing the same problem, sir. Like, I can do all the tasks, sir, but except writing the code program and all, I'm facing the issue, sir. So you told us to save all those things in one file so that it is helpful. I'll do that tomorrow and I'll let you know, sir, if I have any problem.
All right. Okay. So let's start with today's class then. Mm, so today we are going to start about SQL Server programming language. Yeah,
So one doubt is there for tail log backup, we can use only the script or else there is any UI.
there is UI method also.
Sir, like only script you have taught us in class, no? So got confused on that question.
All right, let me share my screen and show you guys how to take a tail log backup using UI. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So to take a backup, let's say first we need to check the database is in full model or simple recovery model. Okay, this database is full. So how to take a tail log backup? Task backup. Then selecting transaction log backup. So under backup option, we have here it is. Under media options, we have backup the tail of the log and leave the database in restoring state. Okay, that means this is the tail log backup. Backup the tail of the log. That is the tail log backup. So once we take the backup, the database will go into restoring state. So let's do that. Done. If we go here, see this is the tail log backup. And the database is now into restoring state. Now how to get it back? So now our database is back to normal. So is it clear how to take a tail log backup using UI?
Yes, sir.
Let me reiterate. Right click on the database, go into task, Going to backup. And from here, we need to select transaction log. So the name I have named it demo underscore tail log 1. So the extension is .trl. Now under media option, we have to select this option. Backup the tail of the log. Okay. Done. So if I go to the backup folder, the tail log backup has been generated. Now the database will be in restoring state. To get back the database into read-write mode, we need to write restore database, the database name which is into restoring state with recovery. So this is the command. We need to execute it under master database. Refresh and see the database is into normal state. Is it clear to everyone how to take a tail log backup using UI? Guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So today we are going to learn about SQL Server programming language. So this is called as Transact SQL. Okay. So in this PPT we are going to see introduction of Transact SQL, how to query table using select command, how to query multiple table with join command and everything. So A to Z about programming language we are going to cover in this programming language course. Okay. So what is Transact SQL? So Transact SQL is basically inherited from structured query language. So structured query language is what? Structured query language is a programming language using which we can communicate with database management system or database. Okay. So this structured query language is actually developed by IBM around 70s and which got standardized by ANSI, okay, and ISO. So the first database programming language was SQL or structured query language, which was developed by IBM. Okay, and once IBM developed it, IBM patented this programming language using ANSI and ISO. Okay, now whoever is doing new programming language for databases, they actually adapt the standard query language methodology, which is basically SQL, and they name it as per their convention. So let's say for Microsoft implementation, they call it Transact SQL or T-SQL. For Oracle, they call it PL SQL or Procedural Language SQL. Okay. So SQL is declarative, not procedural. That means in SQL or structured query language, it's a high level language. That means you are going to describe what you are trying to do, but you are not going to instruct computer that what are the exact step it needs to perform. Okay. So you want to select something. So you will be writing select this, but you are not going to instruct the computer where to go, where to navigate, which table, which page, which particular row, and where to return, and all these details, right? You just need to give an instruction to SQL like I want to perform select operation, I want to perform insert operation, I want to perform update operation or delete operation. So it is a declarative language. Okay. So now we need to understand what is relational database. So I think we have already discussed about relational databases and what are the differences between DBMS and RDBMS. So the difference between DBMS and RDBMS is, in DBMS, the tables are standalone tables. That means the tables are not having any relation with each other. But in relational database management system, we actually have multiple tables and the tables are related to each other. So if you see this table, customer and sales order header, in these two tables, you can see these two tables are connected using customer ID. Okay, so here this customer table is holding customer details, and customer details are basically customer ID, customer first name, customer last name. And this sales order header table is basically holding the order details. So order ID, order date, and which customer placed the order. That is customer ID. So when we are saving the details of order, so order, that is, let's say online food delivery order we are talking about here. Let's consider. Let's say Zomato. Okay. If we place a order in Zomato, so the respective details would be order ID, that order date and time, and which customer placed the order, right? So the customer details would be fetched from the customer table using the customer ID, right? So these two tables are basically related to each other using customer ID column. So this is called relational tables, right? And the relational tables are basically making a relational database, and a relational database is basically making a relational database management system. Okay. So is it clear about relational database management system? Any questions? All right. So next, let's understand about schemas and objects. What is schema and what is object? So schema is basically, these are namespaces for database objects. So let's take an example. Let's take, this is our database. This is our entire database. And under the database, we have two namespaces. One is sales or one is production. Okay. So let's consider this is one namespace which is equivalent to one department. Let's say you are running a company, and for the company you are having a database. Okay. And under the database or under the company, you have multiple departments. One department is sales department, other department is production department, other department is administration department, other department is HR department, and so on, right? So when you are having a particular department, then you are basically creating a namespace within the database to have the respective tables of the department within this particular namespace. Let's say for sales department, you are having a table called order. For sales department, you are having a table called customer. So this order table is referring what? This order table is referring which order I'm getting from the customer to sell to the customer, because this is under sales namespace or sales schema. Okay. So schema is basically a particular namespace where we can create multiple tables. So this order table is basically referring the orders for sales. Okay. And in production schema, let's say we have another table called product. So the product the company is basically developing. Okay. And the next table, let's say order. So this order table is doing what? This order table is referring the raw materials which it need to produce the product. Okay, so this order table has something else to do. This order table has something else to do. So this order table is basically referring the raw materials which is ordered by the company to produce some product. Okay, so this order table is basically for raw materials. And under sales department, this order table is basically referring the sales to the customer details. Okay, so these namespaces are referred as schemas. Okay, so as you can see, under a database or within a database, we can have multiple schema. Okay, and under the schema, we can create tables. Okay, now can we have the same table name within two different schema? The answer is yes. So here there is a table called order, and here there is a table called order. But how is it possible? Within a database, how we can have the same table name? How the SQL is going to recognize the object having the same table or same name? So SQL is going to recognize like this: schema name dot table name. So here the order table would be referred as sales dot order, and here this order table would be referred as production dot order. That means we are mentioning the schema name and table name at the same time, which is actually allowing us or allowing SQL Server to pinpointly identify which object under which schema we are actually trying to refer. So can we create order table within production? So we have product table and order table within production schema. So can we create the third table named order or product within production schema? Anyone?
So can you repeat?
So can we create a third table called order or production under production schema?
No, sir.
Because that would be a conflict of naming convention, right? So we already have tables called product and order under production schema. So we cannot have same table name within a schema, but we can have same table name across different schema. And to identify that particular table, we can use schema name along with table name. So here schema name is sales and table name is order. So here we are going to refer this table as sales.order. So in the same way, we can qualify a particular object starting from instance name. So we can pinpoint the exact location of the object starting from the instance. How we can do that? Instance name dot database name dot schema name dot object name or table name. So what is the meaning of that? So we are actually telling SQL Server that this object or this table belongs to this instant under this database under this schema, and this is the table name. So we are giving the entire path to the SQL Server. This is called fully qualified names. Okay, any questions from this slide? Anyone is having any questions from schema or fully qualified names? All right, before we move on, so I want to show you guys, this is the database which is provided by Microsoft as a student database or a practice database. Okay, so if I expand this under tables, So you can see there are different tables which is already created by Microsoft. Okay. So how to identify the schema here? Here, this is the schema. Human resource is the schema. An employee is the table name. So the total table name is basically human resource dot employee. Here you can see another schema, person schema. So what is the enter table name? Person dot address. And out of this name, person is schema name and address is table name. Okay. So we have another schema, let's say called production. So production dot culture. So production is the schema name, culture is the table name. Purchase. So we have purchase dot purchase order details. Purchasing is the schema name, purchase order details is the table name. Sales. Sales is the schema name, currency is the table name. So sales dot currency. Okay. Now here you can see another schema called DBO. So DBO is basically the default schema of a database. So if we are not mentioning any schema, that will come under DBO. So let's say for us, if we see the tables, see for us the tables are DBO only. Here I have created two tables under HR schema, but the default schema is DBO only. DBO means database object. Okay. So what is the default schema? The default schema is DBO. Now we don't have to mention the default schema when we are accessing a object. Okay, so that all these things we are going to see in practicals, but for now what I want you guys is to have this database in your system. So how you can have this database in your system? To do that, you need to go to this link. Okay, open this link, and here is the backup file which is present in Microsoft site. So under OLTP you have AdventureWorks 2019.bak file. So this is the full backup of the AdventureWorks database provided by Microsoft. You need to click on this file. So this file will start downloading. The file size is around 100 MB, I believe. Won't take much time to download. So once it is downloaded, you guys need to restore the backup file in your system. Okay. So let me share this link with you guys. Can you see the?
Sir, chat is disabled, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I'll request skill enable team to enable the chat. Skill enable team, can you please enable the chat? All right. Let's do one thing. You can find the link very easily from Google searches itself. Okay. So who wants to perform it? Who wants to demonstrate it so that others can follow? Anyone? Because we all need to download this file and restore it in the instance.
Sir, I can.
Okay, Mukul, I'm making you presenter. Please share your screen.
So my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible. Now type down download AdventureWorks database. This is the database. Yes, save to a particular location. So anyone who is facing challenge to download the file, so everyone in the class need to download the file. So please everyone, I would request you guys to start downloading the file now. Let me know if you guys are facing any problem for downloading the file. Let the download complete, then you can start the restoration. So after the file is downloaded, you need to copy this file to the backup location, and then you can start the restoration process from the backup file.
Okay, sir.
So everyone, please start the backup file download. Okay. I want you guys to start the backup file download now. Do the restoration so that if you guys get any error, we can fix it right away.
So what is the full form of OLTP?
Online transaction protocol. So what is the status from others? Did anyone started downloading the file? May I get yes, no, or some status update from the other participants?
Yes, sir. Download. It's downloaded.
All right. What about others?
Downloading, sir.
Done, sir.
All right. Please be on standby. So anyone, if you find any error or any confusion or unable to find the backup file, please let me know. Okay, is there
Uh,
anyone who already? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I've finished the all like I've finished all the steps. I've restored the adventure box, whatever it was.
Restore the backup, right?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Meanwhile, the file is getting downloaded. Can I like showcase the steps? Like, can I you know present
Yeah,
the
yeah,
steps?
sure, sure.
Yeah,
So I'm making you present it.
yeah.
Please share your screen and demonstrate the class how you have restored the database. You're on mute. You can unmute yourself and have a commentary on that.
Okay, I thought I was on not on mute. So basically, I downloaded my file from here, and I hope I am audible, right?
Yes, loud and clear. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So I downloaded the file from here. After it was downloaded, I went to my file manager, and then I went to downloads. The file was here. I just performed a cut operation from here and just went to the backup file, which was in program files, and then it was here Microsoft SQL Server, and then this over here I had the backup file. I just pasted the file over here, right? So this is the file, and after just performing the paste operation, I went to my SSMS. After going to the SSMS option, the file is here. You can see that I have restored the file. So after pasting the file, I just did one thing. So I clicked on right clicked on databases. After that, I had to basically go with the restore option. So basically, I clicked on device, and then from here I selected the backup file. I just clicked on the add button, then I selected the file, and then clicked on OK button, and then again OK. So basically, this is the file that we needed to restore. After checking all the details over here, I just click on OK button. So this restored the file over here. You can see I have restored the file over here. It is the AdventureWorks 2019. I hope I was right.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Ravi.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a nice explanation. Thank you. All right. So anyone who has already performed the restoration like Ravi? So the file has been downloaded and you guys are doing the restoration.
No, sir. Actually, it's still downloading.
All right.
Sir, can I share my screen?
Yes, sure. Go ahead. You are presented. You can share your screen.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm facing network issue. Sir, it's first, initially got downloaded over here. After that, what we have supposed to do?
You need to copy this backup file to the backup folder what we have under C drive, MS SQL Server, under backups.
Over here, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Now you need to restore the database from this backup file. Right click on database folder.
Okay.
Click on restore.
Is this correct, sir?
You may remove the 2019 part at the end. AdventureWorks is only fine. Under destination database name, you can remove 2019. Yeah, AdventureWorks is fine. Now go to files. Click on files. There you need to check on the checkbox, relocate the files
Yeah.
and folder. Yeah. Now click on OK. All
Oh,
right.
it's done, sir.
So
Right, sir?
mm, yes, now
It's
the
done, right?
database is restored in your system. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else need some help to do the database restoration? So we are going to refer this database throughout the programming classes. So everyone needs to have this database available in their instance. So we cannot skip this step. Okay. So anyone need a help to restore this database, or shall I proceed?
Sir, please wait few minutes.
All right. Okay. So if for anyone that the file has been downloaded, please do the restoration. And if you guys are facing any error, we can troubleshoot. I'll wait here for another 4 minutes. 9:15 we'll resume the class.
Done, sir.
All right, class. Shall I proceed for the next steps, or anyone here is yet to perform the restoration? You're good, right? All right. Let me share my screen. Okay. So we have done the sample database restoration, and now let's go back to the programming language introduction. Okay, so in SQL Server programming language, we have basically three type of command category, okay, or SQL statement types. So whatever statement we write in a programming language, that basically falls under any of these three categories. What are the categories? The first one is DDL, or data definition language. The next one is DML, or data manipulation language. And the third one is DCL, or data control language. Okay, so let's first understand about DCL. What is data control language? So when we learned about creating users and granting privileges, right? What we have done, let's say I want to create a user, or I want to create a login, right? All right, so here we are doing what? We are granting some server level permission, we are granting some database level permission. At the same time, we have some revoking permission as well. Deny data reader, deny data writer, right? So we have some grant operation, we have some revoke operation, right? So these operation falls under data control language. That means who can access a particular instance, who can access a particular database, what level of privileges the login would be having. Okay, so all these things is controlled by data control language. Now the next thing is data definition language. So what is data definition language? It is basically when you know when we want to create a table, right? So when we are creating a table, we are basically creating a structure. Let's say this. So when we are defining a table, that means my table name is customer, okay, and my column name is customer ID, first name and last name. So customer ID column can store integer values, first name column can store character values, last name column can store character values. So I'm defining this table with these parameters, right? That my table name, my column type, all these things I'm defining when I'm creating a table, or when I'm defining the structure of the table, right? So when we define the structure of the table, we are basically defining the structure of the data we want to save, right? I want to save the data in this particular format. Let's say customer ID, customer first name, customer last name. This is the structure of the data I want to save. So basically I am defining the data, right? So the commands which are used to define the data, this is called data definition language, or DDL. Okay, so the commands which fall under this category is create statement, alter statement, and drop statement. Okay, so using create statement, we can create database objects like create table, create procedures, create views, create functions, etc. Using alter statement, we can do alter statements like alter table, alter stored procedure, alter functions, etc. And we can perform drop operations using drop command. Okay, so this is about defining the data. Now first We have given permission to the users who can access the instance or database. Now after that, we have defined the data, or we have defined the table structure. Now next is what? Now once the table structure is defined and the table is populated, now we are going to manipulate the data, right? So once the data is there in the table, what next? We are going to access the data, we are going to insert the data, we are going to update, we are going to delete, right? So we are going to basically perform the manipulation operation on the table or on the data, right? So statements for querying and modifying data is called as data manipulation language, or DML. So select, insert, update, delete, this type of commands falls under data manipulation language. Is it clear? Any questions from this slide? All right. So before we go for the select statement, let me go through the data types. Okay. So there are different type of data. So when we talk about data types, then basically we are talking about the data type of a column. Okay. So let's say when we are defining the table, we are defining the table name as well as the column name and the type of data it's going to store within the column. So we have to define a data type to this column. Okay. So that is why it is called as data type. Now there are different data type which is available in SQL Server. So this is that numeric section. So we have tiny int, small int, integer, big int, bit, decimal or numeric, only numeric, money and small money. So all these data type basically holds numeric type of data. Okay. Next we have approximate numeric, that is which is going to store approximate values. Float and real is there. This data type basically hold approximate values or approximate numeric values. Next we have character type data, and the data types are char, varchar, text, nchar, nvarchar and ntext. So we are going to learn about the difference of char and varchar. Now the next data type is date time. So what is the data type? When we want to save the date format details. So let's say the current date format is date, month, year, then hour, minute, second. This is the format of date and time. So we need to save this data in this particular format, and this data type support this format. Under this data type, we have only date data type, only time data type, date time 2, small date time, and date time offset. So all these data types are present to save the date details. So next we have binary data type, which is holding only binary values that consisting with 0 and 1. So we have binary, var binary, and image. And we have other data types like geography, XML, timestamp table, etc. Okay. So these are the different data types which is available in SQL Server programming language. All right. So cast and convert, these things we are going to learn, but not today. So there is a special character called null. Okay. So let's say in the database, or let's consider in the database, there is a particular field. What is field? So there is a particular field, let's say last name. Okay, so this particular field or this particular column is optional. That means either we can enter some value or we can leave this field blank. Let's say for customer ID 1, the first name is Dan. Okay, and he don't want to give the last name. He want to keep the last name field as blank. So how we can tell SQL Server that this field is not available or this field is not having any value. If we are giving space, that is still a value. If we are giving 0, that is still a value. So how we can tell SQL Server that this is not having a value? To express that, we have a special character and this is called null. So null represents a missing or unknown value. Okay, so if we are not having any value, that means to represent that we are going to write null. So there are some special treatment that we need to do for null. If we do some arithmetic operation with null, so the outcome would be null only. If we perform some string operation with null, the outcome would be null only. If we perform any comparison operation using null, that will return false only. So for null, we have some special set of commands specifically to deal with null values, okay, or to deal with this particular null character. Okay, so this null character is a special character and we need to deal this character using special commands. Okay, so we are going to learn about these functions, like how to deal with null, like is null, null if, or coalesce. All these things we are going to learn going forward in this class. So anyone is having any questions till now? All right, so today we have learned about full form of SQL. What is the full form of ANSI? American National Standard Institute. So this is basically a institute where people go and ask for patent. Okay, so IBM, when they developed the programming language called SQL, they patented it using this ANSI, or American National Standard Institute. What is RDBMS? We have already learned about Relational Database Management System. What is SQL and T-SQL and the difference? We already know. So SQL is basically the generic programming language and T-SQL is the adaptation version of SQL by Microsoft. Schema we have learned, fully qualified name we have learned. These things we have learned. Now you guys may wonder, like, what is DQL? So we learned about DDL, we have learned about DML, we have learned about DCL. Then what is DQL? DQL is basically data query language. That means whatever we are doing using DML or whatever we are doing using select operation, that is DQL, or data query language. Or whenever we are performing some select operation, okay, query means what? We are asking for some data, right? So which command asks for some data? Select command asks for some data. So whenever we are performing some select operation, that actually falls under DQL. Okay. Now ACID properties, that I'm going to explain you right now. Different type of data type that we have learned. Difference between char and varchar, that I'm going to explain. Comment line in SQL script. This is what we need to understand. So let me filter out the things and to discuss today. The alias I'm not going to discuss today. All right. Now let's understand about the difference of care and varchar. So let's say care and another data type varchar. So both are data type to hold character values. Okay. So let's say the value is let's say Manoj. Okay. So if I put this value to a character data type column, right, then we need to give some length of this value. What I mean, whenever we are declaring a data type, we need to declare the length of the data type. Okay, like this. So it can hold, this data type can hold character values, but what would be the length of the character value that this data type can hold? So the length of this character value, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. If we save the same thing here under varchar, this also be 5. Okay. So let's say we are storing Manoj. Now this is fine. That we are storing a value called Manoj and it is taking 5 spaces, 5 independent spaces in the disk to store the value, or it's allocating 5 space to store the value. Now let's say the data type is same, but we are storing the value, let's say Ram. Okay. Now if we save the value, let's say Ram, then what is the length? The length is 3. So when it is saying 5 in char data type, that means it will allocate 5 space in the memory to store the value Ram. So whatever the length of the value is, it will take the maximum length which is allocated. Okay. Now for varchar, what it will do? It will check the actual length of the value, and instead of storing the maximum length, it will allocate only the length which is required to hold this value. So here varchar will hold 3 memory spaces to store the value RAM. So in char, the memory utilization is not better, but in varchar the memory utilization is better because it's variable in nature. So the length of the data type is variable in nature, and that depends on the value we are providing or the value we are trying to save. So it is a very important question in the interview, the difference between char and varchar. So is it clear to everyone, or anyone is having any doubts on this?
Sir, can you explain that one more time?
So when we are declaring a column with a data type, let's say char of length 5, okay, then let's say we are storing a value called A, B, C, D, E, And the same way we are declaring a varchar data type for a column, and the value we are trying to save is A, B, C, D, E. Okay. So here we are trying to save a value of length 5 in a data type of length 5. That means to store this, it will allocate 5 spaces in the memory, right? And for varchar also, as the value is of length 5, it will allocate 5 space in the memory to hold the value, right? Now the question is, now in this particular case, both the data type is working exactly the same. But let's say our next value is AB. Okay. Instead of ABCDE, the next value is AB. So now what will happen for these two data type? Character will allocate 5 memory spaces only. So it will not check that how much the value is actually required, okay, or how much length of what is the length of the value, okay. So character data type is not going to evaluate the value of the field, okay. Instead of that, it will simply go ahead and allocate the length which is provided in the data type. So it will allocate length 5, but it will basically utilize 2 length only, and the rest 3 length would be kept as blank, right? Like unutilized 3 locations. But in contrary, that varchar, it's going to check the length of the value, and accordingly it will allocate the space in the memory. So for AB, there won't be any unallocated space left behind. So for varchar, it will be allocating only 2 spaces, as the value requirement is 2 length only. So space utilization is better in varchar. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anyone else having any doubts on this? All right. So the comment line. Before I go for ACID property, let's understand comment line. What is comment line? So when we write something in programming language, every programming language has a mechanism to perform comment lining, right? So what is comment line? We want to document this programming, and we want to make sure that the line we are typing for reference is not part of the programming. To do that, we have this functionality as a part of comment line. So double dashed and writing anything is not part of the programming language. So once we comment line it using double dashed, then the line will appear as green. Okay, that means this particular line is not part of the programming. So if there is a statement, let's say select, there is another statement, let's say select, okay, and we are keeping one comment line in between with this. So SQL is going to execute this statement, it's going to skip this comment line, it's going to pick up the next statement of this. So this is basically the way we can do comment line for single lines. Now how to comment line multiple lines? To do that, we have this option. Multiple comment lines. So it will be starting with front slash star, and it will be ending with star front slash. Okay, and whatever we write in between these two header, this will act as a comment line. Okay, so the same way, select command, skipping this single line comment, skipping these multiple line comment, and then SQL will pick up the next select statement, skipping these comment lines. So is it clear about the comment line of SQL Server?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now it's time to learn about ACID properties. So ACID properties mm, in SQL Server is basically, it is the properties of SQL programming language. Okay, so in a SQL programming language, mm, it must follow certain rules in order to maintain the consistency. Okay, so let's say if we are writing a SQL code, then we don't have to worry about certain parameters, and those parameters would be automatically handled by the programming language itself. So what are the parameters that the programming language will take care automatically by itself without us doing any additional efforts? Okay, so this is called as ACID property. So for SQL, the properties are atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So SQL, so this is also a very important question uh, in a interview perspective. Okay, so there'll be questions like, explain about ACID properties. Okay, what is ACID property in DBMS, and what are the ACID property parameters? Explain. So these kind of questions will be there. So A for atomicity, C for consistency, I for isolation, and D for durability. What is atomicity? Atomicity means the entire transaction take place at once or doesn't happen at all. So what is the meaning of that? Let's say your account balance is 100, okay, and one of your friend gave you, let's say, 10 rupees using Google Pay. Okay, so if the transaction is successful, your account balances will be 110, or if the transaction is a failure, your account balance would be 100. So can the transaction be something in between 100 and 110? Is it possible? So is it possible that your account balance is somewhat between 100 and 110, or your account balance will be either 100 or 110? What is the possible outcome?
Sir, either 100 or 110.
Either 100 or 110. So if this transaction is a success, then it would be 110. If this transaction is a failure, then it would be 100. So it cannot be anything other than these two possible outcomes. Okay, so that is the meaning of atomicity. That means either the transaction will take place or it will not happen. That means either this transaction will take place and update the bank balance as 110, or this transaction would be a failure and the bank balance would be 100 only. So this is called atomicity. That means either it is this or this. The account balance cannot be 105, 106, 103, 104. It cannot be like this. Either it is this or it is this. So this is the meaning of atomicity. Is it clear to everybody? The meaning of atomicity?
Yes, sir.
The next is consistency. What is consistency? The database must be consistent before and after the transaction. Now let's understand the meaning. Let's say this is your account balance. Okay, your account balance. And this is your friend's account balance. All right. Now both the details are saved in the same database. Okay. Here your friend performed plus 10. That means at your friend's account it must be minus 10, right? Let's say at your friend's account it was, let's say, 200 rupees. Now after minus 10 it should be 210. At the same time, as the transaction happened from your friend's account to your account, it must be 100 to 110. Now the question is, what is consistency here? The meaning of consistency is, let's say your account got credited with 10 rupees and became 110. But here, this account got debited with 10 rupees, but here the account balance remains 2000 or 200. So there is an inconsistency between these two data. So here it's supposed to be 190, right? Because 10 rupees got deducted. And here it should be 110 because 10 rupees got added. So the consistency means whenever we are performing a transaction, so this is a positive transaction, this is a negative transaction. So after the transaction, the data should be consistent. It should not be like the data is mismatched and SQL programming language is unable to tackle the mismatch between the data. Okay, so the meaning is SQL should be capable enough to manage these changes efficiently within the data or data set so that there is no inconsistency after the transactions. So if this transaction is a success and this transaction is a success, then it must be 110 and it must be 190. If this one is a failure and this one is a failure, then it must be 100 and this must be 200. It cannot be any other possible mix and match. There is only two possible ways to make this data consistent after the transaction. Okay, so that is the meaning of consistency here. Is it clear? The idea of consistency?
Yes, sir.
Anyone is having any doubts? Anyone? All right. Now let's understand about isolation. What is isolation? So let's take this example. So your account balance was 100. Someone gave you 10 rupees. So how to update this value to 110? What would be the actual operation in the background? So first it will check your account balance and then it will perform a addition operation on top of your balance and then it will come up with this value, right? Now this is the entire transaction, and this property is saying multiple transactions occur independently without interference. That means every transaction should happen in isolation. Okay, that means when we are performing this transaction, no other transaction should intervene in between. What will happen if some other transaction come into this picture in between? Let's take an example. Let's say when this transaction was happening, okay, when this transaction was happening at this point in time, so this was our value and this transaction is ongoing. At this particular moment, someone else, or let's say someone else, is giving you another 20 rupees, or let's say another 10 rupees. Okay, so what will happen? This transaction will check your balance as 100 and then it will add 10 rupees. This transaction will also check your balance and add 10 rupees. Now, one thing to understand, this transaction checked this balance and added this value, but yet to update the value to 110. And when it is performing the addition operation, then only another transaction came into picture. It checked the value, which is 100 only because it's yet to update it, and then it performed the addition operation. So both of the transaction is first selecting the value and it's seeing the value is 100, and then it performed this transaction. It also performed this transaction and updated the value as 110. So person A gives you 10 rupees, person B gives you 10 rupees, and you are ending up with addition of 10 rupees only. It should be 120, but you are ending up with having 110 rupees instead of 120. What is the reason? The reason is interference between transactions. So each transaction should happen in the isolation. So let's see what will happen if the transaction happen within isolation. That means this is the transaction. Once this transaction is done, then only next transaction will come into picture. So let's say this transaction is over. Now next transaction came into picture. So when it will see the current account balance, then it will see the current account balance like this. Then it will perform the addition operation and it will update the value as 120. That means there is no data inconsistency if we perform the transactions in isolation. Is it clear? Is the concept of isolation clear to everyone? What are the advantages and disadvantages of isolation? Guys, anyone is having any doubts on this or any questions?
No, it's clear.
All right. Now the fourth parameter is durability. So what is durability? So as we discussed at the very beginning of the course, like whatever we access in SQL Server, we perform the operation on memory. We perform the operation on memory. That means we perform the operation on RAM. So as we know, RAM is volatile in nature, right? So as it's volatile in nature, whatever value we updated in memory or in RAM, that will be lost once we restart our system. That means in order to maintain the durability, SQL programming language should have the capability to transfer this data from memory to disk without our additional effort or without our additional interference, right? So that is what it's referring in this section called durability. The changes of a successful transaction occurs even if the system failure occurs. That means this transaction got successful, right? So in the disk, the value was 100. So when SQL Server accessed this file, SQL Server bring this file into memory. So this was bring into memory, okay? Then it performed the transaction here. Updated, performed transaction on memory, okay? And then updated the value in memory, not in the disk. So it first bring data into memory from disk, okay? Whenever we are accessing a value, SQL Server will first bring the data into memory from disk. Then it will perform the operation in memory, not on disk. Then it will update the value in the memory, not on disk. Now, at this point in time, we have two different values. The disk value is holding 100 and the memory value is holding 110. Okay. Now it is the responsibility of SQL Server programming language to reflect the memory data into disk. If we miss to do it, then let's consider a system failure occurs right after this. Okay. Then when the system failure occurs right after this and we access, once the system is back, we access the disk, then it will show us 100 only, not 110, because this thing is updated in memory, not in disk. Now it's SQL Server programming language's responsibility to update the disk with this memory value whenever we perform a successful transaction. So this thing got updated into memory, and once the transaction is successful, it must reflect this updated value to disk, so that if my system gets failed, so there will be an additional step here, that update the value to disk, update the value of the memory to disk, right? So this thing will complete a transaction. So if we run in a system failure at this point in time, and after the system is up and we access the disk to get the data, we get the updated value of a successful transaction. So that is what exactly the statement is saying. The changes of a successful transaction occurs even if the system failure occurs. So the changes of the successful transaction occurs even if the system failures occur. Okay. So how it will occur? If we update the value of this updated value in the memory to the disk. That is the idea of durability. Is it clear about durability?
Yes, sir.
Anyone? All right. So today we have done the introduction of SQL Server. Okay, so we have done the restoration of adventurous database, which would be the most useful database we are going to use throughout the course, and we have completed the SQL introduction. So tomorrow onwards, we are going to start working on the programming language, like creating tables, selecting tables, how to do different type of programming statements and everything regarding SQL Server development. Any questions before we wrap up for today?
Sir, I'm having problem with this database download.
All right. I'm
Adventure.
making you presenter. Please share your screen.
Uh, can you see my screen?
Yes.
I'm getting this error, needs authorization.
Can you go to your downloads folder? So your file is
Yes.
yet to be downloaded.
Yes, but
So let's.
I have, yeah.
So you click on this file. Yeah. Click on this file. Click on this link.
Yes.
So file is getting downloaded. So
Yeah,
is
after
there
this, it
any?
was half downloaded. Then after this, I got this failure notification.
So
Failed and needs
that.
authorization.
So I think you have some permission issue or some network issue. So let's try to download it again. Okay. So if you are facing network trouble or something, then this download may got disrupted. So try to download the file, and once the file is downloaded, then you can do the restoration. Ideally, there shouldn't be any issue. So
Okay.
if you have any network glitch or something, then only the file download will fail. Okay. Otherwise, if you have any permission
Okay.
issue in your system, then also it may fail. But as I can see, the file started downloading already, so there shouldn't be any permission issue. But I think your network speed is bit on the
Yes.
lower side, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. Yeah.
yes. Okay. So let's try to download it, and once it's done, then you can do the restoration.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thanks, everyone. Then we'll catch up tomorrow, and I'll be passing the class notes to Skill Enable team. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Yeah, good night.